Welcome back to Mind Over MS. And this week we are going to be reviewing humming for health and maybe humming for happiness because the seven dwarfs seem pretty happy with their humming lives. So this has been a tradition that's been used through ancient times and has carried on up into today. And a lot of studies have done in recent times that actually are showing the benefits of humming for the body. So humming is really just when we make any noise with our mouth closed, breathing out through our nose. So it can be melodic and humming a tune, or it can just be like one solid flat noise to hum. It doesn't really matter because the effects are sort of the same. So the effects on this one and what we're generating, I'm not going to go totally into sound healing and any of those, the physics behind it, but just like I do, for those of you that know, PEMF is a way that I treat people to help with a multitude of different health conditions. PEMF works on frequency as well. So it is pulsing something at a different hertz rate, which is very similar to sound, but it's just instead of being done by a tuning fork or by a bowl, a singing bowl, or by a voice, it's being done electronically at an intensity that can move through the body, creating magnetic field. But sound in general has this ability to resonate inside of our body, and our cells all have a different resonancy, and they all have a frequency that's a little bit different. And when we hum, I think the beautiful part of this is PEMF is an external source being done, and even a tuning fork. I mean, the idea there is something called entrainment. So if you don't know what that is, if somebody hits one tuning fork that's tuned at a certain note, another tuning fork beside it will start to resonate, and it'll start to sing at the same frequency. So the idea there is that when you have tuning forks with a different note and a different frequency, that whatever in your body resonates at that same frequency, the tuning fork is kind of aligning back to you, and it can pick up any disturbances in your field. Where PEMF is working more to like push that frequency intensity into the body to sort of give the cells energy. But when you're doing it with your own voice, it really, what is more bioavailable than your own voice? It is in your body. So now it's not even just that you're having an auditory experience of the sound or whatever resonance created in your body, but you're actually creating this. This is coming from you. So, it's always better. If you can generate ATP production in your body because your body has been conditioned to train and to exercise and to move in such a way that ATP is being created for every one burn, 38 on average is being created, that's optimal. But for those of us that have health conditions or in some way that our mitochondria is dysfunctional, it helps for things like PEMF to be put into the body to generate the things that we're failing to generate. So sound healing is this way to kind of wake our cells up again, to put them back in entrainment. So this is, again, we're all, like if you put a metrodomes in a room and they're all set at a different, or like a clock that like the kind that have like the swinging pendulums on them. If you put them in a room and you put them all at different rates, over time, they'll all start to synchronize together at one rate. And sound healing is doing a similar type of thing in your body. So when you create a note, not only are your cells hearing that, and that's like if you're doing it from the outside, like I love to listen in the background to singing bowls and to things during the day. And I think that there's a lot of therapeutic benefit to that. But when you hum, you're getting the auditory from the outside, but you're actually vibrating your body through your vocal cords. And if anyone that doesn't know, you have something called a vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve runs from your brain stem, so just kind of like at the base of where your skull is meeting your neck. And it comes down around the front of you, and it goes down into your body. And this is what's giving all of the signals between the brain and the rest of the body. Right. And so what happens is when you are humming, the vagus nerve is getting stimulated. And that really helps a lot of people because it kicks in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is, it turns off fight or flight and it relaxes you, and you go into more rest, digest. And that's the time where you're going to heal as well, and you're going to regenerate in your body. So this is probably why, the exact reason why, when people are doing studies on people that are humming, you're seeing things like blood circulation go up, and heart rate go down, and blood pressure go down, and all the other benefits of it is because all of these nerves then that are controlling things like digestion and heart rate and blood flow and all of the internal organs, they're all being communicated through the vagus nerve. Now, the interesting part of that is it's a two-way street. So it's not just now from top down that you're getting this relaxing effect, but 90% almost of the nerves in the vagal nerve are actually coming from the body, the heart, the gut, and they're coming back up to the brain. So this is where I'm going to say now it's not just health, it's happiness as well, because your heart is going to be speaking then to your brain much more than your brain speaks to your heart. So when you're humming, it's pretty hard to be humming in a bad mood, because generally when we're not actually humming as a spiritual practice or a health practice, most of us are humming when we're cheery. So, you're just doing chores, or you're, walking around the house, you're doing something. I do it with my dog a lot. When they're following me along, I hum to the dog to try to actually, as a side note, I have a Rottweiler now. So my Rottweiler is almost 9 months old, and when I first got her, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Anyone that's had a Rottweiler maybe knows there's something called a Rottie rumble. And I had no idea that it was a rumble. And at first, when I was playing with my puppy, I would pull back a lot because I was like, wow, why is she kind of growling at me? Like maybe she doesn't like what I'm doing, because most dogs I've ever heard growl are doing that. But this dog, whether she's excited, whether she's happy, it's almost like she purrs like a cat. They do this rumble. And if it wasn't my dog and I didn't know that she's actually happy because I can read her body language, I would be a little scared and intimidated maybe. But much the way she rumbles and the way a cat purrs, this is like a sign of happiness and a sign of joy. And it's like a communication effect, even for an animal that doesn't really talk. We all kind of have this instinct then to hum for happiness. And because our heart is speaking at a 9-to-1 ratio, up instead of down, then humming, if it's coming, and you can feel when you hum, right? It's really like resonates in your chest and in your throat. That resonance is communicating up to your brain a level of safety and of happiness, and that everything is okay. So humming is a really great thing to do. So the first time and I wouldn't really necessarily call it humming, but the first time I was sort of introduced to chanting, I'll say, was at a Zen Buddhist temple. And this was probably 15, 20 years ago, the first time I started meditating. And in between meditations, the monks would talk, and I think it was in Korean, and they would do this very tonal, like and it was actually words, and they were saying something. I couldn't speak the language, so I didn't understand it, but I would just hum along with it, and so did a lot of the people that were there. So we'd all just be doing this tonal humming together. And anyone who's done group meditation knows how powerful it is when you're kind of sharing this energy field with each other. But when you add this humming in as a group too, it's really amazing. And monks do this in temples as part of their practice, because they know as well how powerful and how much it works. So when I became a yoga teacher later and I started training, one of my favorite practices, because pranayama is my favorite part more than the poses of yoga. I love the spiritual practice of it, and I love the breath work. So one of my favorite ones is called Bhramari Pranayama. So this is bee's breath. And bee's breath is really easy to practice. And so maybe I'm going to also create a meditation this week, and maybe I'll put that out. And when I do, I'll link that meditation to this show's notes so you can go back and review it. But bee's breath is really simple to do. So instead of now just humming for happiness, this one is actually, you're going to sit down and you're going to focus and you're going to do, a meditative practice. Now, for the sake of being on camera right now, maybe I'll take a still shot of it later and just add in here too to show you. But it's very easy. You're going to plug your ear, and you just do it by that little flap in the front of your ear. You just kind of push it down. And even just by doing that, you can hear that it kind of blocks the outside sound, and your voice becomes now more internal as less external to you. And once you do that, you could do that if that's just enough for you. You can start there. Some people will cover their eyes, and that gives you something which is in yoga referred to as pratyahara, which is a sense withdrawal. So what you're doing here then is you're blocking the outside sound, you're blocking outside light, and every time when you hum now, that's going to reverberate inside of you, and you have less reduced vision. Even when your eyes closed, you don't see the light through your eyelid. Another way to practice it, if you're wanting to do the whole thing, is, you would block your ear. You'd have one finger on the upper eyelid, one at the lower, and that's sort of as a way to make sure you keep your eye closed during it. One finger above your lip, one finger underneath it, and then you're keeping your mouth closed. So this is now blocking sorry, actually, you know what? I'm going to correct that. I believe that you actually are pressing your nose slightly closed. So one is above your eyelid, one at your nose, one above your lip, one below it. So in this case, now you're doing your sense of hearing, your vision a little bit. You're not blocking your nose all the way because you're going to be humming out of your nose. So you're going to keep it open, the channel, a little bit. And then you're just using the other two fingers to keep your mouth closed. So now you're getting a lot of sense withdrawal. And there's a lot of reason for doing that, because we don't want to live always in the external world, because we waste a lot of energy when we're always focused on things outside of us. And as a result, we become sort of at the whim of circumstance. So whatever people are talking about, or this media that we're absorbing, or this hectic, loud noise of wherever we are, or instead, when we go internally and we go back into our body and into our mind, this is a chance for self-regulation and for self-healing and for self-soothing. So humming is really fantastic. So when you do a bee's breath, when you're going to do that, you would think about when your ears are plugged and you're doing it, you're going to probably repeat it for 6 breaths. So you breathe in, and then you hum out through your nose. And then you breathe in again, but through your nose, always through your nose, not through your mouth. You're keeping it closed. And you're going to repeat that 6 times. And then you just sit in the silence. So you can unplug your ears, and you're just going to feel how it's different after you've done this buzzing in your head. And then you'd repeat it again. So a few minutes later, you do another round of 6 bees breaths. And just, as many times as you'd like, you just sort of repeat that pattern, taking a time to sort of assimilate the experience. So after you've done this humming practice, really enjoy it, because a lot of times we just move on to the next thing. But these practices really are spiritual, and they really are for our health. And so take it as time with yourself to really just go inwards and to still yourself and to be quiet. And then, on top of doing it as a yoga practice, or the monks in temples that are doing it, just try to hum during the day. So just for your own happiness, pick up humming more often, maybe in the shower, maybe while you're doing mundane tasks like cooking dinner. Just hum to yourself for happiness, because the more we practice gratitude and the more we live in joy, which is coming from our heart, the more the rest of our body listens and it gets in alignment with that. And the happier we are, the better energy we put out to the people around us, which generally makes them happier to us. And, love spreads. So why not spread a little more health and love into the world? So take that out, practice it. And you know what? Do it by yourself if you're too embarrassed to hum in front of other people, or hum a tune and get the rest of your family humming along with you. So I hope that is a fun one and a very easy one. And like promised in the beginning of this podcast, another free one. So you don't need to go get PEMF treatment. You don't need to even hire an energy therapist or sound healer for this one. You can start with just humming to yourself, because your body hums at your frequency. So with that in mind, have a blessed day, have a blessed life. Namaste.